So hello everyone, my name is Jason and I'm from Australia and I'm a graduate of the Pro 90D private coaching program. I've been a part of the Pro 90D community now for just a little under 12 months, almost approaching the anniversary. And I'm here today to create a video in response to the video that Michael recently shared with us, and that was, they need to hear your voice. And when I watched that, I was reminded of the Jason who first met Michael Williams, the Jason who was searching for a solution to his disfluency and his inability to articulate himself in the way that he knew he could. And that story really resonated with me. So I wanted to create a video sharing my story, sharing some of the things that I've overcome during these 10, 11 months or so, hopefully giving a glimpse of hope to you all who are going through similar challenges to all of us, and hopefully to the outside community that aren't a part of Pro 90D, that are reaching out for a solution that they can't yet find. So when I first met Michael about 10 months ago, I lacked a lot of confidence in myself. I was extremely anxious. Every word I said, I overthought. And that caused me to be disfluent, to get stuck time and time again. Within one phrase, I remember, I would get stuck at least once. And it was difficult for me because I consider myself to be an intelligent individual. I was unemployed at the time and found it difficult to articulate myself when I went to interviews. I knew the answer to the questions, the technical questions. It was up here, but that wasn't necessarily translating this way. So I was at a stage where I thought to myself, hey Jason, maybe you should be applying for jobs that are within your ability, jobs that don't require you to speak so much. Because I was constantly being rejected for jobs in the analytical and the computer science industry. I have a background in economics and statistics, so one of my passions is data and working with data. So but I didn't realize that in those jobs you have to actually communicate the insights that you would find. So I found it quite difficult to do that in interviews and things because of the way that I saw myself and the way that I identified. So when I reached Michael, I was at a stage where if this wasn't fixed, then I probably would have ended up down the path of being extremely depressed or seeing myself. It's quite difficult to talk about. Seeing myself committing suicide. And it was difficult because I would see doctors. I was working with a psychologist at the time, but there was so little that they could do because a lot of my problem was how I identified myself as, and that was as somebody who is disfluent and gets stuck and finds it difficult to converse in conversations and what have you. When I met Michael, he said to me, Jason, within a couple of months, I can guarantee you that you will be able to say what you want to say, how you want to say it, to whoever you want to say it to. And at first, like many people, it's very hard to believe that that's possible, because you've been doing this for such a long time. And you've tried everything, you've exhausted every resource possible to be able to speak. And here is a man who's telling you that in a couple of months that you can go from being shy, anxious, not being able to articulate and to communicate your thoughts, but then being able to speak as an excellent speaker, as a great speaker, as a person who people admire and enjoy listening to. So I took this chance and I enrolled in the private coaching program, and I haven't looked back since. And I remember the first thing Michael said to me was, "This only works for people who are willing to try." And he said, "Jason, I don't want to waste your time. Are you willing to try? Are you willing to work hard on your speech?" And I said, "Yes." And ever since that first meeting to today, I've been working really hard. And admittedly, there are days where I'm not as fluent as the day before. But because of the strategies and the toolkit that I've learned along the way, I've learned not to dwell on those thoughts and feelings for too long. And that the next day is another day to challenge yourself and to inspire yourself and to do something out of your comfort zone over and over and over again. And I've been doing that. I remember the first thing that I had trouble doing was answering the phone. Like many people, we're very limited in our view of how we say things, how we pick up the phone, how we order meals, how we do all those sorts of things. And I learned from Michael that, well, you don't need to say things exactly the same way other people do. Add a few words before you want to say that, or change the way you say it so that you can say it. And from the moment I started doing that, I started to be able to pick up the phone. And to me, as trivial as this is for many people, to me that was a huge step. It was groundbreaking. And that's when I started to realize the potential of the program. I went from being able to pick up the phone to being able to make phone calls, which is an all different level playing field for many people who are afraid of the phone, to then being able to speak in meetings, to put my hand up and to say something with the confidence of knowing that I'm able to say what it is that I want to say. And there have been many successful moments throughout the last 10 months. I remember the first positive success that I shared with the private coaching clients and Michael was that in my team meetings, I work in a team of 10 people under one director. And I remember the moment where my director, instead of controlling the meeting, she would let us speak. So we would all go around the room and talk about our agenda for the day or a project that we've been working on. And at that time, I was the last person to speak, just by the way that my director went around the room. And when I opened my mouth, I remember my director, my manager, just staring at me in awe of what I was doing, because I'm generally not a person who speaks often. And just the way that I told the story of what it is that I'm doing in my day and what it is that I've done over the last week. And I remember after that, my manager approached me and said, the director wants to acknowledge you for how well you articulate yourself. You're very concise. You're very endearing to listen to. The way that you say what it is that you want to say is engaging. And it's a totally different side to you. What have you been doing? And of course, I opened up and said, hey, I've been working on a speaking program where they teach you to become a great communicator. And I've been working with a man called Michael Williams. And he said, keep doing what you're doing because it's going to take you places. Fast forward 8-9 months. The coronavirus hits. We're all being told to work from home, and our new engagement piece was to talk virtually on a webcam. And when you get to work with Michael, you get to do this. So I've had a bit of practice doing that, but because I haven't done it in a professional setting, it was very overwhelming for me at first, but I didn't think too much about it. I took on the challenge. And I slowly but surely made progress communicating virtually too. It scared me, but it didn't affect my speech the way that it used to, the way that fear normally would do to me, because I'm able to control those feelings and emotions as well, just because of practice of being in stressful situations. And I was given a lot of responsibility to change the way that we look at the future of the business. I work in retail, so as you can probably imagine, the entire world was in panic mode and buying all sorts of things. So the responsibility was placed onto me to find an innovative solution to combat this. And I went away for a few days and thought of a plan. My background is in analytics, so I'm good with numbers. I studied mathematics. So I built this mathematical model to be able to predict what we need for next year in the event that panic buying doesn't exist. Essentially, that was the upshot of my report. And I presented it to my manager, who was just in awe of what I'd done, and said that I needed to present that to my director promptly. So we got on the phone with her, and I took her through a presentation that I created, and she was amazed with that work, and said, Jason, in order for us to get this approved, we need to communicate this to the executives above. And my heart started beating. And she said, I'd like you to do it. I'm going to be there, she said. And my manager was going to be there to answer any questions that I couldn't answer. But she said, I want you to do it. And at the time, this is at a committee meeting that directors are only invited to. No analyst in that business has ever been invited to this committee meeting. This committee meeting entailed 8 managing directors, another 10 directors that report to those managing directors, and the person that the managing directors report to. So there was a lot of people in that company who, if you ran into them in the elevator, you would be very careful of how you word your words, how you verbalize what it is you want to say, and how you greet them. And I'd never met them before. So for me, that was a particular challenge. And my manager called me afterwards and he said, you're ready. I know you're ready. You can do this. He goes, you're going to kill it. He goes, you have to believe in yourself. You have to trust yourself, because I've seen you transform over the last 10 months. And if the director wasn't going to allow you to do this, I would have spoken up and encouraged her to get you to do this, because you are our expert in this side of the business. This is your full-time job. If there's anybody who can articulate this to upper level management, it's you. I can't do that for you, and neither can the director. So they gave me that role, and the day that the committee meeting was on with these people, I was very nervous. And I got an email invitation from one of the managing directors to log in via Microsoft Teams, which is a virtual platform, at a certain time. And I did that. I clicked on the link, and by the time I got there, everyone was there. And they handed over the floor to me to speak. And from what I remember, from the moment when they handed the floor to me, I felt this sudden urge of nervousness, and I was just really overwhelmed, so I had to pause for a moment. I didn't speak for about, it felt like forever, but in those moments, it's probably not. It's probably a couple of seconds. And I opened my mouth. I remembered that I can trust myself and that I've been preparing for moments like these for a while now, and I can do this. And I started speaking, and I forgot all about that nervousness, and I just said what I needed to say. I went through the presentation, and it was a very political subject because essentially what I was asking them to do is take away the responsibility they have and give it to me, which is not an easy task, especially when you're just an analyst and you're asking the managing directors to give you some of their daily responsibilities because you're the person who can handle this from a numbers perspective. And by the end of the presentation, my director stepped up and said, "So what's the verdict? What would you like to do?" And the managing directors all agreed that they would hand that responsibility to me because they trusted the process, they trusted what I had to say, and they believed that I could do it. And from that moment, I have never questioned myself. I believe in myself more than ever now. There's nobody that can tell me that I'm limited in any possible way, because I'll just tell them no. See what I've done, I remember I told my parents, I told my brother and sister, and I told my girlfriend, who've all seen me go through a stage of life where I wasn't a very happy person. And I believed I was limited, and they all started crying because of this. And, I had a moment to myself afterwards where, I just was amazed with what I'd done. If it wasn't for this program, I don't know where I'd be. But I'm very happy that I took the leap of faith. I invested in myself. I worked hard. I worked with Michael. I worked with the community. I was inspired by other people in the community. You all inspire me on a daily basis. I've watched a few of your videos recently where people are uploading their modeling sessions where they're practicing the 30-second excerpt, and people are sharing stories, and it's just incredible, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep believing in yourself, even when there's a bump in the road. Keep pushing forward, because what is there to lose? There is nothing for you to lose except try. And regret is a terrible thing in hindsight. We don't want to regret not trying. So I'm very thankful that I had the support of Michael, I had the support of my family, and that I invested in myself to take on challenges that I found frightening. Whether it was just starting off on the phone, to ordering a meal in the McDonald's drive-thru, to saying hello to somebody in the hallway, to putting my hand up in meetings, to sharing a story with my team, to making presentations to directors, and then making presentations to upper level management, to people that you typically wouldn't see on a daily basis. My name is Jason. I hope that you have found inspiration in my story. I challenge you to keep challenging yourself and investing in yourself, especially through this time. Take care, stay safe. Until next time, see you all.